Rain tapped softly against the glass walls of the tallest building in downtown Chicago. Inside the luxurious lobby of Horizon Crest Technologies, employees rushed through marble hallways carrying laptops, coffee cups, and stress. Outside the revolving doors stood a young woman holding a faded blue folder tightly against her chest. Her name was Emma Carter, 24 years old, jobless for 8 months. 3 unpaid bills in her backpack, and only $12 left in her wallet, but her eyes still carried something rare: hope. Emma looked up at the shining logo of Horizon Crest Technologies. It was one of the fastest-growing startup corporations in America, famous for turning small ideas into billion-dollar brands. Getting a job there was almost impossible. Still, Emma whispered to herself, just one chance, that's all I need. She pushed open the giant glass doors and stepped into the lobby. The warmth inside instantly wrapped around her freezing hands. The receptionist looked up politely. "Good afternoon, can I help you?" Emma quickly smiled. "Yes, I'm here for an interview." "Marketing assistant position, Emma Carter." The receptionist typed for a moment, then her expression changed. "Oh, I'm sorry, interviews ended 30 minutes ago." Emma's heart dropped. "What?" "The hiring manager's already left." "No, there must be some mistake," Emma said nervously while searching through her phone. "I received an email this morning confirming my interview." The receptionist checked again. "I understand, but everyone already went home." Emma stood frozen. This was her last chance. Rent was overdue, her mother's medical bills were piling up, and now this. She slowly nodded. "Okay, thank you." She turned away, trying not to cry. At that exact moment, another man walked through the lobby entrance. Tall, elegant black coat, sharp jawline, calm eyes. The employees nearby instantly straightened themselves, but Emma didn't notice. She assumed he was another applicant. The man quietly observed her disappointed face. This man was Daniel Foster, 32 years old, founder and CEO of Horizon Crest Technologies, one of the youngest billionaires in the country. Yet today, he looked strangely exhausted. For months, Daniel had been surrounded by fake smiles, investors, greedy executives, and people who only respected his money. But the sadness in Emma's eyes felt real, and somehow, it stopped him. Emma accidentally dropped her folder while leaving. Papers scattered across the shiny marble floor. Daniel immediately bent down to help her. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Emma said quickly. "It's okay," Daniel replied softly. Their eyes met for the first time. For a moment, everything around them became quiet. Emma awkwardly smiled. "You here for the interview too?" Daniel almost laughed. "Something like that." "Well, looks like we both failed." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Both? I mean, you're still wearing that serious interview face." Daniel smiled for the first time that day, and surprisingly, it felt nice. The bus ride that changed everything outside, the rain had become heavier. Emma sighed while checking her empty wallet. Perfect timing. Daniel walked beside her. "You don't have a car," Emma laughed softly. "I can barely afford coffee." For some reason, Daniel kept following her, not because he planned to, but because he hadn't felt this relaxed around someone in years. At the bus stop, Emma noticed Daniel searching his coat pockets. "You forgot your bus card?" Daniel paused. Technically, yes. He had never used a public bus in his adult life. Emma shook her head and handed coins to the driver. "One extra ticket, please." Daniel looked at her. "You didn't have to do that. You helped me with my papers. Now we're even." Inside the crowded bus, Emma stood holding the metal pole while Daniel remained beside her. The city lights reflected across the rainy windows. "You know," Emma said, "you don't really look nervous enough for an interview." Daniel smirked. "And you do?" "I've practiced my introduction speech 47 times. 47? 48 if you count this morning." Daniel chuckled. The old woman sitting nearby smiled at them. "You two look cute together." Emma nearly choked. "We just met." Daniel quietly looked out the window, hiding his smile. A few stops later, Emma pressed the button. "This is my stop." Daniel suddenly followed her off the bus. Emma blinked. "Wait, this isn't your stop." "I know." "Then why did you get off?" Daniel looked around the quiet neighborhood. "Maybe I didn't want the conversation to end yet." Emma stared at him in surprise. No expensive pickup line, no fake confidence, just honesty, and somehow, that was more dangerous. Chapter 3. The small apartment dream. Emma lived in a tiny apartment above an old bakery. The hallway lights flickered, paint peeled from the walls, but the room itself felt warm. Books stacked beside the sofa, sticky notes covered one wall with business ideas, handmade sketches filled the table. Daniel noticed immediately. "You designed all this?" Emma nodded shyly. "I always wanted to build my own company someday." Daniel slowly walked around the room. Most people chased money. Emma chased ideas. That fascinated him. "What kind of company?" Emma's eyes lit up. "A branding agency for small businesses, helping local shops grow online." Daniel turned toward her. "That's actually a good idea." Emma laughed. "My landlord disagrees." "No, seriously." She paused. "You really think so?" Daniel nodded. For the first time in years, yes, that night they talked for hours. About dreams, failures, childhood memories, future goals. And for the first time in forever, Daniel forgot he was a billionaire CEO. He simply felt human. Before leaving, he noticed Emma staring at a rejection email on her laptop. Another company, he asked. Emma nodded quietly. They all want experience. Daniel looked at her carefully. What if you stopped applying and started building? Emma smiled sadly. With what money? Daniel thought for a moment, then said something unexpected. What if we built it together? Chapter 4. The Secret CEO. 3 weeks later, their tiny startup officially began. Emma named it Brightline Media, a tiny rented office, 2 second-hand desks, 1 old coffee machine, and exactly 0 clients. Emma became the founder. Daniel became employee number 1. At least that's what Emma called him. You're surprisingly good at presentations, she said one morning. Daniel smirked. I've had practice. What kind of jobs did you do before? Daniel paused. Management. That sounds boring. You have no idea. Days turned into weeks. Daniel secretly used his connections to help the company survive, but carefully enough that Emma wouldn't suspect anything. Soon, local businesses began contacting Brightline Media. Then came bigger projects, then national campaigns. Within months, Brightline exploded online. Emma stared at the numbers in disbelief. This doesn't make sense. Daniel hid his smile. What? We're growing too fast. Maybe your ideas are just that good. Late one evening, Emma entered the office carrying instant noodles. For my favorite employee. Daniel looked offended. Only favorite. You're lucky you're even employed. Daniel laughed. No board meetings, no luxury dinners, no fake conversations. This tiny office became the happiest place he had ever known. And slowly, he fell in love with her. One afternoon, Emma rushed into the office excitedly. Got invited! Invited where? The National Startup Innovation Gala. Daniel froze. That event was hosted by Horizon Crest Technologies. His company. Emma grabbed his arm excitedly. You have to come with me. Daniel looked nervous for the first time. At the gala, luxury chandeliers sparkled across the massive ballroom. Emma wore a simple dark blue dress, yet Daniel couldn't stop staring at her. You look beautiful, he whispered. Emma smiled softly. So do you, employee number 1. Suddenly, several executives approached Daniel. Mr. Foster. Daniel immediately interrupted them. Not now, but it was too late. Emma's smile disappeared. Mr. Foster? The executive looked confused. You mean the CEO? Silence. Emma slowly turned toward Daniel. You're the CEO of Horizon Crest, Daniel exhaled quietly. Her eyes filled with disbelief. You lied to me. I never wanted to hurt you. You let me believe you were unemployed. I wanted someone to see me as a normal person. Emma stepped back emotionally. So everything was fake? No, Daniel said immediately. You were the only real thing in my life. But Emma walked away, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt powerless. The girl who built herself for days, Emma ignored Daniel's calls. She felt betrayed, not because he was rich, but because he hid the truth. Meanwhile, Brightline Media continued growing rapidly. One evening, Emma sat alone in the office remembering every moment. The bus ride, the cheap noodles, the laughter, the support. Then she realized something painful. Daniel never treated her like someone beneath him. He believed in her before anyone else did. And maybe he truly loved her. At the same time, Daniel sat alone inside his massive penthouse overlooking the city. Luxury surrounded him, but the silence felt unbearable. Money had built empires. Yet it couldn't buy back the one person who made him happy. Finally, Daniel visited Emma's apartment again. The same old hallway, the same flickering light. Emma opened the door slowly. Neither spoke for several seconds. Then Daniel quietly said, I'd give away every dollar I own, just to sit on that bus with you again. Emma's eyes watered. Why didn't you tell me? Because when people know who I am, they stop seeing me. Emma looked at him carefully. And what did you see when you looked at me? Daniel smiled softly. The future. Tears rolled down Emma's cheeks, and finally, she hugged him. Love, success, and new beginnings 2 years later. Brightline Media became one of the fastest-growing branding companies in America. This time, everyone knew who Daniel Foster was. But surprisingly, Emma still treated him the same. One morning inside their new headquarters, Emma walked into Daniel's office holding coffee. Morning, employee number 1. Daniel laughed. You still call me that? You still work for me. He stood and wrapped his arms around her gently. Actually, he whispered, I think my heart works for you. Emma smiled. Outside the office windows, the city glowed beneath the sunrise. A company built from a missed interview. A love story started on a public bus. And 2 lonely people who accidentally found home in each other. Sometimes life doesn't give you the job you wanted, because it's preparing you for something far bigger.